Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today. It's our first webinar of 2023. And today we'll be talking about the power of direct mail in digital. And my name is Luci Rainey. I'm the VP of Marketing here at V12. Before we get started, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. We'll be doing a recording, so I'll send that out tomorrow afternoon at some point. Be on the lookout for that. If you'd like a copy of the deck, just let me know. You can shoot me a quick email when you get that recording. You probably all have received emails from me, so if you know my email address, go ahead and send that over. And we'll also be doing some Q&A as we wrap up, so you can go ahead and enter your questions at any point, and we'll also do a quick call for questions as we start to wrap up. So without further ado, to kick us off today, I'm going to pass it over to Luci Rainey, who is a former marketing executive with PODS and Comcast. Thank you, Luci.
Thank you. Yeah, I think if PODS and Comcast got married, they would be podcast.
Exactly.
All right. Well, welcome everybody today to Movers and Shakers. We have a big audience, so I can tell, it's the new year and you're ready to go and learn and see what new ideas and things are out there. Today we're going old school, but isn't it great when old school becomes new school? I think of it like those old Converse and Adidas Stan Smiths that we all used to wear as kids, and now they're back in and popular. They're all over the US, all over Europe. Everyone's doing it, wearing them. And I think direct mail is one of those things too that I felt like I did in my career kind of as a kid. Direct mail was such an important part of the marketing mix, and as digital started to take over and really create its immense efficiencies, direct mail started to go to the wayside. But today, we know it's coming back, and today we'll talk more about that and when and how it's most advantageous to use direct mail, and more importantly, why. I'm excited to have a new guest today with us, Maria De La Salas from Welcome Wagon. She is the president at Welcome Wagon, so welcome, Maria. And Michelle, we've seen before. She is the CEO at V12, our very generous sponsor of Movers and Shakers. Welcome, Maria and Michelle. Maria is new to Movers and Shakers. So Maria, tell us a little bit about Welcome Wagon. It's been around, I was surprised to learn, for almost 100 years. I mean, it's really been the ultimate direct marketing, vehicle. I'll say a wagon is a vehicle, right? And, I recently found out, I think I mentioned this to you before, that my husband's mom worked for Welcome Wagon in the 60s. And, it's been around a while. It's still going strong, really leveraging direct mail and direct marketing to new movers in communities. Maria, tell us a little bit about Welcome Wagon and why it just keeps being one of the most effective vehicles that new movers, or new businesses can leverage, or businesses can leverage in communities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Luci. So yes, you're absolutely right. Welcome Wagon has been around since 1928, helping American brands build up their recognition amongst the community. And your mother-in-law, she used to be a hostess. And so we currently have community marketing executives representing our brand within the local communities. And what we currently do with our range of products is introduce those brands to those local movers or homeowners or renters or people that are part of that specific community that a company or small business, medium, large business wants to start relationships with. And so we've evolved. In the past, we used to have those hostesses visit door to door with the Welcome Wagon baskets. And now the Welcome Wagon baskets still exist in a print and digital way.
Love it. Let's see those products. I love them. Tell us a little bit about, again, how you leverage these for your customers so they can draw in new customers of their own. We know that, and we're going to be sharing some research, at least on the mover segment. We're going to be borrowing the mover segment today to talk about direct mail, but 85% of new movers who use, typically use the first business that contacts them, they get in, they get used to using them. Tell us about some of your, again, these are 4 different direct vehicles. Tell us about, maybe one of them.
Yeah, for sure. So, for example, the gift book is one of our most well-recognized product, and that's where our sponsors and partners get the opportunity to really give that home-warming gift to the new movers, or really have that additional incentive for that strategic audience to take action. So think about this, when compared to other channels of communication, direct mail really shows clear advantages, but one of my favorite advantages is you can touch it, right? So it's really a sensorial experience that involves not only, your eyes, but you can get to touch the piece, to hold the piece in your hands. And so that's an opportunity for our sponsors. And then to go specific to the Welcome Wagon products, direct mail is intended to be part of the overall strategy for our partners. So if they're thinking about, doing digital, that's excellent. But direct mail is an excellent way to do retargeting, to supplement, to complement, to actually reinforce, and it's also measured and traced easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is, I think, from a small business owner who really wants to see their ROI is so important. In the gift book, and you talked about giving a gift or a coupon, we're going to talk about that, times when you can give coupons and discounts as a way to test direct mail and leverage it as a specific pricing option. Michelle, we're going to call on you to talk a little bit more about that, but you guys can go to the next slide. Now our sponsor V12, where Michelle is the CEO, has done some research on one particular segment, movers, because they do offer proprietary movers data to run campaigns for you. And understanding how the combination of direct mail and digital really can target that mover segment. Now, this can be done in other segments as well, depending on, where that omni-channel activity is happening and how to retarget, using either direct mail to retarget to digital, or if someone has done some digital activation, how direct mail can follow up on that digital activation. So we're going to talk a little bit. But look at the top right. 81% surveyed feel that the mover segment or programs is an effective part of a direct mail program. And I think the first area of focus here is to understand, which segment you're leveraging in your direct mail program and how you're going to develop that targeted offer and that targeted messaging to them and how you're going to measure it. And again, such a great opportunity for test and learn in direct mail. And really understand how your different segments are an important part of your digital strategy, and how mail can back up digital and how digital can back up direct mail. But when you look at this data, I mean, obviously in movers, especially, direct mail is that important channel. And I think Michelle, V12 has learned a lot about this, especially for movers. What is it that you can help educate our audience on in this area?
Sure, happy to jump in here. So it's really interesting. We have seen, and throughout the industry for a number of years, people are really used to being able to target to people once they've moved into their home, right? So I'm new to an area and I want to go ahead and offer them all kinds of services. I want to introduce them to the area, introduce them to a new local dentist or a salon, or their local hardware store, whatever that might be. to be able to just say, hey, welcome to the area, right? As a post-mover audience is what we refer to that. And that audience works great. Having digital activation across the direct mail activation for that audience, we find is just, it works better than just choosing one audience at a time. Your ROI grows, your retention grows, your ability to bring new people in, right? You just become so much more successful, you know, the more channels that you're able to activate against. What we have noticed now that we are part of a porch company is we've started to do a lot more in the pre-mover audience, right? And depending on what vertical you're in, pre-mover makes a ton of sense for direct mail and for all the other channels. Being able to target somebody in their previous address before they actually move, knowing where they're going to be moving to, is just like a golden nugget, right? That we're able to offer. And a lot of times people are already starting to prepare for that new community and prepare for that new home, and being able to attack them and be one of the first ones to really kind of talk to them just creates a really great consumer experience. And they feel that much more welcomed, you know, when they reach their new destination. And so we see having at least 2 channels involved with any campaign lifts your ROI by double the percent. Anytime you can have 3, 4, or more, it basically creates a more timely conversion for you. Your conversion will be quicker to market, right? Because they've seen your name and they've seen your brand in multiple places, and you've made yourself really easy to be found.
Yeah, I like too the opportunity, you know, in the former address to say, hey, we know you're moving. So again, you're personalizing it. You know that they're having a life event and what's happening, and then that you can follow them to the new address and then welcome them to the new address. And I know that V12 data and capabilities allows you to do that. Maria, you know, again, Welcome Wagon's been using direct mail for probably over 50 years, if I do the math right. You know, why do your customers find direct mail effective?
Yeah, so there are a number of reasons for that, but it definitely increases the ROI, as Michelle just mentioned. But direct mail is also something that's perceived trustworthy by the recipient. And so it has such a positive effect that even if that attribution is not done by the coupon redemption, it will be perceived by the brands on the recognition, on the overall performance, as an overall result for the sum of the multi-channel activities or marketing activities that they're initiating. And so that would be part of my biggest, let's say, recommendations to our partners. And there are multiple ways to do direct mail. You can do it on a co-op program to test it. You could do it brand alone. You could do it co-branded. But everything starts specifically around the audience. And with V12 data, it's a great start. So Welcome Wagon currently partners with V12 data for most of the direct mail initiatives. And so we have a pretty recognized source for that. And so that helps tremendously our attribution and our ROI for our clients.
Yeah, that's great. Next slide. So, you know, if you are here because you are hoping to understand when to leverage direct mail, know this: volumes are up year over year. That means more businesses, especially the B2C businesses or the B2B2C businesses, are, you know, turning their budgets and investing in direct mail. Again, we know that through sourced surveys, and here's some results right now on screen of one of those sourced surveys. 44% of B2C marketers report increasing their direct mail budgets. And if we think about it, it makes sense, right? Rising CAC costs of digital channels, 53% said, hey, my digital channels aren't as efficient. I'm going to go back to direct mail. I can measure it. I know who's responding from it. I'm going to give an interesting example. When I was back at a telecom company, and if you want to look me up on LinkedIn, you'll see where I was. And we were heavily invested in media mix modeling, and the media mix model said, hey, you're spending way too much on direct mail. Well, one of our geographical areas said, we're going to follow the model very prescriptively, and we're going to trim our direct mail budget. Another one said, that seems really aggressive. I can really attribute direct mail. I'm going to, maybe dip my toe in the water. Well, what happened to the one that went all in was their walk-ins severely decreased. So a lot of the attribution that was going to direct mail was actually driving online walk-ins. And so again, that mix of direct mail that really helps push to digital is very important. So as you're reinvesting, remember, you will get attribution and you will be able to measure specifically to direct mail, but also use that window to measure your digital walk-ins as well, because it's likely that your mail is really supplementing that volume, and you should be able to attribute some of your CAC to that as well. Some people use it because they've always used it. That's the legacy channel. They know they can scale it quickly. Hey, I've got a little bit more budget. Let me drop some mail real quick. Sometimes maybe you're over invested, like I just mentioned, in your marketing mix. And sometimes when I was at that telecom company, we just wanted to make sure to be in home when our competitors were. And that can be equally important. And if you're starting to notice your competitors' mail, and there are several services where you can look at mail volumes by geography out there, you might want to take notice, because if they're in home and you're not, that could be an advantage for them. So anyway, some things to keep in mind, backed by data, as to why people are increasing their mail budgets as they closed out 2022 and getting into 2023. Next slide. We've covered, some of these areas, and, we talked about one of Maria's vehicles, at Welcome Wagon, leveraging those offers and welcome kind of gifts or coupons to the neighborhood. There's a couple things here. We talked about personalization, and again, leveraging the data to personalize across life event changes. But I really want to talk here about two things. One is leveraging mail for brand awareness, while at the same time it being measurable. And I know, Michelle, you and I talked about this earlier this week. Tell us a little bit more about what you're noticing with your V12 customers leveraging mail in this way.
Sure, absolutely. There's a couple things that we're seeing where we typically and historically have really been all about digital, right? We're an ESP, people know us as that. We do display targeting, video targeting, CTV targeting, within our media network. And one of the things that we're seeing is by us adding on direct mail onto our packages and our managed services, it just provides it provides a lot of continuity across all of the different channels. And it also provides a really strong way to do attribution and to do measurement and to lift that response, which is really important when you're a marketing company and you got to go to your boss and prove that what you're doing is really providing value to your company, right? And so by adding on direct mail, you have the ability to really do that in a true one-to-one manner, versus just looking at clicks, right? Or points. And clicks are a part of the journey, but they don't take you all the way through. And so I know so many companies probably 3 to 5 years ago really started putting most of their marketing budget, right, in display and in ad advertising and some of these other channels. And those channels work, but you really need another channel to be able to solidify the attribution. And direct mail is one of those ways that, as a follow-up to a digital campaign, display campaign, whatever that might look like, is a way that you enhance attribution and really get one-to-one attribution on how that campaign worked. We do a lot of research around control group testing, channel group testing, audience group testing. And one of the things that we have seen work 100% of the time is when you add direct mail to a campaign, you will lift your performance. You sometimes got to be a little patient on the results, right? But your performance will lift.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you mentioned patience, because Maria, we were talking about this earlier, and often your customers are small businesses. They have limited marketing budgets, and they're like, Maria, we're going to test you 1 month of mail, and let's see how that goes. And I think, again, you've been doing this a long time. So what is the advice that you give, to your customers when they really are looking for that short return?
Yeah, honestly, we typically do not engage for shorter terms because there's a learning process that we really have to work one-on-one with the client to get to. So they're through the coupons, through the audience, through the whole marketing strategy around the direct mail distribution, you get valuable information regarding consumer behavior specific to the brand. And so those are things that we want to make sure that we're sharing with the customers on a on a month-to-month basis, so that we know then where to pull the trigger on, right? What to do more of. And so that's how we really want to partner with our clients. We really want to be able to build up a strategy that they can scale into an excellent source of productivity or positive lead generations for them. And so that's why we typically wouldn't engage in shorter terms period of time for direct mail. Just think about this. Think about, the normal distribution time from, printing, design, print, etc., and distributing the piece, right? You have there just, 2 to 3 weeks before it's hitting the home. But then we also think about when do we want the recipient to receive the piece. Mm-hmm. And so that's why all those factors are taken into consideration when we're planning out our mail distribution. And there's time to consider. And so those are the conversations that we make sure to map out to our clients so that we better plan together that direct mail strategy.
I wanted to add on to that really quick. One of the other things to consider is the person that you sent that gift book to, and they, hung it up on their refrigerator and, those type of activities. And they're like, okay, well, I'm going to go shopping this weekend, or I'm going to go shopping in 2 weeks, right? That's another reason why we need time to truly test attribution, responsive rate, and timeliness, right, to all of the packages, because you still want to be able to give the attribution the energy that it needs to be correct.
Yeah. Correct. That's an excellent point, Michelle. And sorry to interrupt there, Lucy, I'm sorry. But that's a great point that Michelle brought, because a gift book has a very long shelf life. Sometimes we get calls from movers, asking if we can resend the gift book because they misplaced it. And they truly use it as a reference. So our gift book becomes a reference book. So what we've come up with is the Welcome Wagon app, so that they don't have to dismantle the book and still exercising the coupon.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding us about that. I think, again, when we talk about direct mail having power, right? So many people think of direct mail as lower funnel. What's my last touch attribution? I'm just going to measure, the direct attribution that I got from mail. But really, when you look at, again, the use of coupons can be measured separately, brand awareness, it really does serve as an upper funnel support mechanism. And because you can make it highly personalized, also can live, along. And so make sure you're giving your direct mail that longer, time frame of attribution, and also checking your other channels and your walk-ins, either retail walk-ins, digital walk-ins, as you are dropping your direct mail, check and see the relationships between your other channels and how direct mail is really being leveraged as an upper funnel awareness driver for those other more tangible last touch channels. Next. So again, one of the, the title of this is Old School Goes New School, and how direct mail can really support and enable your digital channels. Again, how do you use direct mail to drive those walk-ins? This is a textbook example, that we wanted to show, and has a lot of, again, digital enablers in it. We have a coupon, get 10% off. We know coupons and lower prices drive lift. That's really direct marketing 101. We have a promo code. We can measure it. We're going to leverage the promo code to attribute for the coupon. We have a scannable QR code if we want to make it easier to have a mobile experience. And, this can all this information can be put onto this piece in order to make it easier for the customer to order or go digital. So again, we're using old school to go new school, and, it works. Maria.
And I'm hungry, Lucy. I'm hungry just looking at the picture of pizza.
Yeah, Maria, I could see Welcome Wagon suggesting this approach for one of your customers. How are your customers trying to attract new movers, via coupons and some, which is a really traditional use of a pricing lever in direct mail?
Yes, absolutely. So we see coupons as a great way to incentivize recipients just to exercise on a call to action presented in the communication channel. But also, Lucy, it's an excellent way for companies and businesses to learn about the audience and understand when, right? Understand what's the timing looking like for them and for their consumers in front of their products or services. And what we do is we help them understand how recipients are actually behaving towards those call to actions. And so this is a way that we use, this is a tool that we use to help maximize the campaign. So for example, we would have a client that starts with a specific offer. We would highly recommend that offer to be unique to every channel, right? So we don't want the coupon itself to be deviation of data, right? So what we want is that coupon to be specific to the Welcome Wagon campaign or any other campaign that the marketers are currently doing. And so that's where we start. And then we go and try and test. Once we've proven the results, right, and what we've proven, how recipients react to it, then we know that it's an effective coupon. And since we have been doing this for years and years and years, we have a lot of insight into what works. And so as part of our, process or guidance to our business partners, we have those conversations, right? Okay, let's talk about what we know that works in this local market for your specific vertical or category.
Yeah, that's great. And again, we all know coupon is really just a method of pricing lever. And in here, not necessarily a coupon, but I guess there's a promo code that you can leverage to get that pricing lever or that discount. In other cases, that visual representation, that tangible thing, a coupon fee makes you feel special. Hey, I want to try this out. It won't hurt. I have a coupon anyway. I want to try it. And really, it's just a great entry into discovering a brand. Again, coupons are old school, right? But again, we're going old school, new school today. So thank you, Maria, for sharing that with us about your clients. Next slide. So again, we want to understand how direct mail and digital work together, or how direct mail can prop up digital. And these are just a few examples. Leveraging direct mail to drive to digital and be presented for testing. We love in direct mail to test and learn, so that you are using it for consumers and drive revenue, which is also extremely measurable in. Also, we talked about offers. You can gate your offers direct mail. You can do coupon testing. There's more room on your direct marketing and benefits than there is digital. Lots of test and target audiences. You can leverage creative or special offers, as we've mentioned. Sales, it's a great way to promote sales, because you can get in front of the consumer before the sale happens. That piece. Also, testing call to actions is a great way to test in your direct market. In your direct marketing programs. And the thing I love most about direct mail programs is they're easy to expand. If something's working, it's easy to scale very, very quickly. So those are just a few things as we think about how direct mail can really push to digital, and just some ideas for those of you on the webinar today to leverage. And as Larissa mentioned earlier, if you'd like a copy of this so you can see some of these or hang on to them, then she can send that out to you afterward. So next one. Again, with direct mail, timing is everything. And we like to put I think the ways to think about this into 4 categories. So life events, moving is an example of a life event. New baby, a birthday reminder, hey, here's 10% off for your birthday. Again, a pricing mechanism timed with a life event can drive lift. Anniversary events, think of when you need your HVAC serviced. Hey, just a reminder, it's time for that. Different types of anniversary events. Browse abandon, a lot of people are your digital walk-ins and they leave, and browse abandon, which we'll talk about in a second, is a great way to go back to those customers and remind them that they were shopping with you. And then lastly, announcements. Hey, we have a new product, a new catalog's out, we're opening a new location, our sale is now on. So again, those announcement type things are great in mail because they stay around and stick around, and someone can touch them and go back to them when the event is getting closer. Next one. A browse abandon. I'd love, Michelle, for you to talk to our audience today about this. V12 has really grown up understanding their audiences and recognizing consumers, and having a wide array of email addresses. And browse abandon, when somebody comes to your site and they take a look around and then leave, often you may not know who they are. And with retargeting beginning, to subside because of the cookie issue, browse abandon is a great way to reach back out to those customers, either via email or via direct mail. And Michelle, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about why these types of programs are so successful in direct mail or direct marketing.
Sure. Yeah, they're super successful because the person already has an interest. Right, so that they were either on a particular website or they were interested in a particular product. And so how you can follow up on that in a really meaningful way. Many are used to, following up on it in a digital atmosphere, right? You go onto the next website and all of a sudden you have a banner ad for where you were at. I think we're all used to that and have seen that for a number of years now. And what we've done is started to add the ability to create direct mail packages based upon, some of their interests. So similar to understanding when somebody is in a specific, time of their audience or life event, moving is one of them. Browse abandonment works a very similar way, has really high ROI because you're actually targeting them with a message that they're interested in. And so, yeah, we have tons of success. We would do a multi-channel campaign for the browse abandonment, but direct mail is definitely one of the primary candidates to be able to follow up with.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, in my past, I've always found these to be very high success, low cost campaigns. And I love those low cost campaigns that you set and forget and really have a great conversion on. So Michelle, you brought up again go to the next slide, guys, omni-channel outreach. And now with the Porch Media Network, I've loved that you've added CTV, again, to your direct marketing capabilities, and partnering with Welcome Wagon Mail. I think that that Porch media network that you guys are cultivating and crafting, really especially from a segmented approach, I think has some amazing potential as we come into 2023. Next slide. And obviously, when we start with direct marketing, audience is the #1 thing that can drive lift in a direct marketing campaign. And so how are you deriving your audiences, folks on the phone? How are you testing audiences? Are you testing audience providers? And are your audience providers providing you with audiences that they're deriving from a variety of sources? In this case, this is a Porch audience map. Active shopping insights, for example, is a way to derive your audiences, or moving and property insights. And again, having that pre-move, post-move ability to stitch that together and drive those things. So important. Next slide. I want to talk about one last case study. And Maria, I was so glad you mentioned this when we were talking earlier this week. When we look at business retention, that's one of the biggest challenges. Losing, say, movers, people move, they change businesses. Tell us about how Welcome Wagon really supports business, especially in the healthcare industry. That's one where there's a lot of volatility. People move, they change providers, they're not close to their home anymore. Tell us how you support, through a lot of the things that we've talked about, being a whole package today in terms of messaging, offer, surprising the customer to really help even this healthcare vertical grow their business.
Absolutely, Lucy. So think about it. Some local brands are currently losing up to 20% of the customer base year over year, just because those families are moving to a different state, a different territory. So they're forced to find another medical provider or another professional service. Specifically to the healthcare segment, Welcome Wagon service serves as a point of reference for those movers or those new families joining a community. And so what we do to help this verticals or this companies or this institutions is exactly that. We introduce those brands to the people that are now moving into the community that those medical practices are currently servicing. And so with that, we help them, right, offset their client or their patient's churn. And so we've seen great success on this. And so with our omnichannel offerings, we are helping healthcare professionals, hospitals, medical centers, dental practices. So, multiple type of companies within the healthcare sector.
Yeah, and I'd say, Michelle, the converse is those enterprise healthcare companies who you can share, or insurance companies, let's say insurance and healthcare are kind of in that same bucket, who you can educate them on those folks who are experiencing a life event of a move, for example, and seeing both sides, the to and the from, and where they're going to really help prevent that churn, rather than, Maria talks a little bit more about making up for the churn, but your data and the Porch Media Network can actually support in reducing the churn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more you can get ahead of the game, right, the better you're gonna be. And we are a deep believer in just the more information and intelligence you have, right, will help you to be able to make the best solutions and be able to grow your business. Me as a business owner, right, I live and die by data. Understanding what's going on in the industry, understanding what my customers are interested in. And I think that every business owner runs across the same thing, right? How can I grow my business in a meaningful way? And how can I provide great services to our customers? And that matches really well with the missions that we have. So whether you are, a really small, dental practice somewhere around the US, or whether you are an enterprise customer, our mission is the same, to help you grow your business in a really meaningful way. Having that information to be able to predict where somebody is going to move before they ever move is just priceless.
Yeah. Today we've talked a lot about the mover segment, but again, direct marketing and how either direct mail stands on its own or supports your digital channel really all begins with audience. We just talked about that. And today we've highlighted one audience, movers, but clearly there are, you could say, hundreds of audiences out there, and really encourage you in your direct mail strategy and how you're either adding it or increasing it or optimizing it within your marketing mix to really figure out what audience works best with mail, or what audience works best in mail to then support and drive digital. Also could work with retail walk-ins, for example. But I wanted to say thank you so much to Maria and Michelle today. Such great information for our marketers out there, and how they kick off the year and look at changes they may have to make to their marketing mix, especially based on digital cost rising overall with the changes in privacy and what have you. I know we've left time for questions today, so I'm going to throw it back to Larissa to see if we've had any questions come through as we've been talking.
Yeah, definitely. We have a couple of great questions. If you've not had a chance, go ahead and enter your question into the question panel. And we'll be happy to get to that. And just quickly as an aside, as I was listening to you all talk, I kind of glanced over at my desk. I have probably 3 or 4 different direct mail pieces with coupons that have been sitting on my desk for maybe a month or 2, just because it wasn't relevant at the time, but I know it will be. And emails I delete, but direct mail I hang on to. So fabulous presentation all. So the first question is, how does direct mail tie into the Porch Group Media Network?
I'll take that one. So the media network, right, is all about impressions and being able to get in front of a person. So one of the things that we have done is we've added in 2 additional channels over the last 3 to 6 months. One channel is CTV and OTT, and then another channel, is direct mail. A lot of times when a lot of brands think of a media network, you're thinking about display targeting, because 80% of media networks, that's what they do. They go straight from first party data, right, to display, or in market audience to display. So what we've done is we've taken a little bit of a different strategy. By all means, we have display, right, because that's what people like, but we also have 6 to 7 additional channels that we can manage, and that we can run analytics around, run attribution around, by channel, by audience, and really try and prove out which channel works the best. What we find, to be honest, is that the majority of the clients that go across many, many different channels, they get a strong ROI and much better results than any one person that's just doing one channel, whether it's first party data, blended data, or targeted data. That is just a fact at this point. And so managed services across more channels and direct mail is a differentiator for us. You will not run across another media network that does direct mail.
Great question. Next one, Larissa.
Yeah. So the next question is, how do you measure your direct mail efficacy?
Can you say that again, Larissa? Sorry, how do you measure what?
How do you measure your direct mail efficacy attribution? I know we touched on that a little bit. Maybe just kind of reiterate.
Yeah, so very good question. So one, if you're actually utilizing the coupon strategy, that's a 1-to-1, as Michelle mentioned it. But there's other ways to actually measure for that attribution that are going to be, more into the line of what Lucy was mentioning. The foot traffic, how the total number of sales, you lead generated from the moment you started the campaign. So those are the typical 3 main indicators that we would use to measure attribution for direct mail.
Yep, and I'm going to add on to that just for a minute. We have one extra thing that we've actually built, because we know that attribution and being able to prove that we are making a dent, right, in the goals of every brand is just so important. So we built something that we use across our company and our partnership with Welcome Wagon, which is the sales dashboard. And so if we get a customer that is willing to share new customer data, we basically load that data into a dashboard that can be shared across the customer and across all of their campaigns. And they can actually understand, hey, I did a mail campaign on this date, I did an email campaign on this date, I did a banner on this date, and this is the date that I got my new customer in the door. You know, whether you believe in first touch attribution or last touch attribution, the sales dashboard will provide all of that information to you, because every brand has a little bit of a different way that they do it. We believe that all channels influenced a buy decision, and it's really difficult sometimes to understand which channel was like that final crossing of the T. But we have a way to truly measure it in a meaningful way that is one-to-one. So it's beyond just saying, you know, you got this many impressions and this many clicks. It's being able to say, you got this new customer and this is how much they spent.
Great, thank you both. Actually, I was just talking to Michelle before the webinar, and we are going to be putting together a webinar just on that, on attribution. We know how important that is. There's been so many inquiries into our team, our agency team. I know Maria's gotten that question on attribution, so we are looking to schedule that probably end of February, early March. So stay tuned. So this question, this is actually for you, Maria. Does Welcome Wagon only send these mailings to new movers?
So no, there's different ways to do direct mail. So we could do direct mail for national brands, local brands, or any type of clients or businesses of any sizes. So it all depends on, we can typically work around the budget. And so if you're new to direct mail, you might want to try a co-op type of strategy where we, you know, would help our business partners through our own established Welcome Wagon products. However, there's some brands that have some experience with, you know, a specific audience, or want to use direct mail for retargeting and want to do pieces standalone. We are also in the capacity to help those brands with scaling up or executing their direct mail campaigns through our distribution channels, etc. So it all depends on the direct mail strategy, but we can do both.
Great. Next question is, I think, hopefully on several people's mind. How do I get started? And I'll say either one of you can answer.
So the most important thing is, you know, knowing your audience. That's the first thing, right? That I would totally recommend. Know who you want to target, and then from there we can work together with the brands. We would learn about, you know, what their objectives are from the campaign, and then build together the best plan to start a test, right? And to learn what works for them specific with direct mail.
Yeah, and I would just add on to that, if you aren't 100% sure what your audience is, that's okay also. To Maria's point, the more information you have, the best. However, we can help you test across audiences too, so that you can actually learn what audience is going to work best for you. I know we've talked a lot here about movers, because this is movers and shakers. You know, movers work for a lot of verticals that they never even thought movers would work for before, right? And so it just shows how important it is to test into different audiences and into different strategies. You know, and across both companies, we have the ability to test into, you know, movers in market behavior based on previous shopping, you know, all different kinds of demographics, all different types of age. So we have the ability to layer it all together to really be able to create a meaningful campaign so that you can know more. obviously, the more you know about your own customers, the better your strategy is going to be on how to prospect going forward.
Yeah, and I want to debunk one myth that a lot of, I think, brands and marketers think that millennials don't like direct mail. And there is proven results and testing. I mean, that's really general knowledge on the internet. You can look up this research that millennials actually do like direct mail, because for a long period of time, nobody did direct mail to millennials because, or even now, I'd say Gen Zers, because they thought they didn't like it. And then so they tend to get less mail and notice it more. Now, I think things are catching up and what have you, but they leverage direct mail and read it and look at it and leverage the information just like every other segment. And so again, when you have a goal for your campaign and what you're trying to accomplish, that's the best place to start. And then again, leverage your vendor partners to help you execute your goals and drive your test and learn, so you can see what audience offers, coupons, formats really work best for you. And it's typically different by audience, by campaign. So again, how you analyze that and then continue to test into that and optimize is really the long game for direct mail. It's not a one and done. It's not a short game. It's continuous learning, continuous testing. And so keep that in mind. I think, Larissa, we have time for one more question.
Yeah. Last question, actually, we only had one more. So, how precise can I get with the targeting on direct mail campaigns?
100%.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say exact.
Yeah. I love about Welcome Wagon is they can do big campaigns or small campaigns. They might be supporting a single business owner with a very small affordable campaigns, or they can support an enterprise with very large campaigns. And I would say the same for V12 with their omnichannel campaigns as well. Again, however big or small you want to be, they're much more flexible. Now, I will say there are some investment minimums again, but they can execute very, again, small or large campaigns depending on your budget and your need. So please, if you're watching today, don't think my business is too small to get started. I don't have a very large budget, because I think probably more than other vendor partners, they are willing to really work with you just for the betterment of your business and have the capabilities to scale small or big. So I think that's something to remember as you're looking into investing into direct mail or having direct mail support your digital efforts more as you move into 2023. So with that, thank you, Maria. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you to our folks who joined us for the webinar today. And if you need more information, please scan the QR code or reach out an email to our marketing team, and they'll be happy to send out this deck or the recording. You can look us up in many different podcast slates. We're under V12 Movers and Shakers. If you want to go back and listen to previous episodes, we're happy to have you as an audience, and thank you and happy 2023. And we wish you luck with your direct marketing strategies. And we will see you soon on Movers and Shakers. Thanks.
Thank you all.